Okay.
You. Roland. Nobody is answering, but I think we can be ready. How many people are in the group? I can't see.
We can hear you, Mr. Ramabrana. We can hear you, everyone. Greetings.
Thank you. Greetings. We've got about 15 people in the group. I think as people trickle in, we can start. And thank you. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Moses Ramabrana, or Rufuno if you like. I'm going to be taking up a lecture today. So if I may ask everybody to just go on mute so that we can all go together. Okay. Are we ready? Okay, so we're going to focus on real estate practice, which is the learning unit module 1, specifically marketing. And these are the different things that we'll be looking at. So there's in your real estate practice modules, we have marketing strategy for new venture. We've got sales and marketing for real estate, business principles in real estate, financial advice in real estate, office administration, self-development in real estate. So we're looking at the full practice of how do you practically do this real estate, so that we really have to look at it as a business. And that's why we have to touch on all these things. You'll realize that the moment you become an estate agent, you are literally a business, and you need to be able to start managing things mostly yourself. Though you've got the help of a real estate agency, it has to be looked at as a business. So we're going to look at all these different aspects, but specifically our focus will be on marketing strategy for today. I hope we can all go together. I know we've all started, but I'm excited to start off with you. As people are joining in, I don't have a better view of who's coming in from where the way I've done it here from my side, but I welcome you as you join in. I'm excited for this one, and it's practical. So I would want us to interact when we get to activities, get it more exciting, and your inputs will definitely be valuable. We have different people in different sectors. Some of you understand marketing maybe better than I do, so those inputs would go a long way. We are all here, and I think the key to BeMore Institute is to be able to share the different experiences. We come in as entrepreneurs first, and then we apply all these different aspects in real estate. So we're going to look at the specific learning outcome, which are going to be covered, demonstrate the knowledge of marketing concepts applicable to new venture operation, how to be able to analyze the product or services requirements of the target market of a new venture, demonstrate an understanding of the market research process and interpret the findings relevant to the new venture, develop and implement a marketing plan for new venture, evaluate and modify the marketing plan. So these are the different specific learning outcomes that we are going to have. Are we ready? We'll start with the introduction to marketing principles. Marketing is seen as an art of selling and advertising. It is knowing what to provide to satisfy consumer needs. Marketing is more than sales. Marketing is a set of activities used to get your potential customers' attention. That's important. Motivate them to buy, get them to actually buy something, get them to buy again and again. So once they are hooked to a product, they should be able to come again and again. Marketing is how you define your product, promote your product, distribute, this is product or service, distribute your product, and maintain the relationship with the customer. So it's an ongoing process. It's not just a once-off thing. The foundation of marketing, or the basics of marketing, this is what we are going to look at. The first one is, the first concept is the need. Look at the needs. Every human has needs ranging from basic needs. You'll think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to higher needs of companionship and self-actualization. People use certain goods and services to satisfy their needs. Needs predate marketing. So a need cannot be created through marketing, but it can be satisfied through marketing. So we use marketing to be able to satisfy a particular need, a need that a person already has. For example, a person needs to rent a house. It's a genuine need, but has a particular taste in different renting options due to complex factors such as individual, social, geographic, in terms of where exactly, religious influences, perceived needs, and also have additional requirements based on the location, the pricing, the status, which is a want, literally. The total sum of these factors make up a micro and macro needs of the individual, or what we call a target group. The art of good marketing often lies in three things. You're preempting the need, thereby having the product available when the need arises. So that's critical. Identifying, the second one is identifying the need correctly in relation to the product, or creating the perception of a need that will suit the product. So these are the different things that one needs to be able to look at. If we look at, I want you to look at, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As you know, it starts from the physiological needs, which is food, water, warmth, and rest. The second layer, it's safety needs. In South Africa, it's a serious one. Security and safety, it's one of the biggest things. Belongingness and love is the third one, or love need. Intimate relationship, friends, people want to be closer. Sometimes it's meaning closer to people that you love, people that you know, and all that. Certain places can make you feel like a stranger. Esteemed needs, that's prestige, feeling of accomplishment. Then there's the last one, which is the top one, which is self-actualization, achieving one's full potential, including creating creative activities and all those kind of things. So these are the different needs according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs that one can look at. One way or another, we fit into this triangle that you see here, the different needs. So marketing needs to be able to sort of preempt some of these needs that we already have, and be able to make you realize that actually this is what I need, and I'm gonna go for the product. So you attach the product to the need that a person already has, which will depend from depending on who's your market target. The foundation of marketing. The second concept is the product. So we've looked at the first one, which is the need. The need leads to the product. The products satisfy the needs. Needs satisfy a need satisfying offer. So whatever is being offered, it needs to be able to speak to the needs that an individual has. Products may be goods which are tangible, i.e. clothing, food, motor cars, or vehicles, houses, or services. Intangible, those are intangible, the intangibles. It could be really a menace of offering the service. People go back to a particular place because they've had a good service, like a good customer service can make people really to be comfortable, to be able to choose a specific company. And as you know, in real estate, how you treat a client, that service, it's attached. As much as the house may be all beautiful, it may be it may tick all the boxes, but how you are going to treat that client may make the most of the difference. Most products are a combination of both, which is a product. When you go to a restaurant, the purpose of satisfying a variety of needs through a combination of products, which is goods and services. So like I'm saying, as a estate agent, how you are going to treat that client, make them feel like this is going to be their home. That may make a difference, despite sometimes the house could have a few things that may be tweaked there and there. It may not be perfect. It may not tick all the boxes, but how you treated the customer makes all the difference. So it's a combination of both. The product needs to be right, and the service, the combination of the product and services can make all the difference. Self-reflection, identify your needs in going out to buy clothes and related products that your favorite shopping mall offers in return. So the third concept, so we spoke about the first concept, it's your need. Second one is product or product and services. The third one is value or exchange and transaction. This is very critical. Exchange is the actual act of buying and selling. It is the way in which people are able to obtain products such as property that satisfy their needs. Exchange describes the act of obtaining a desired product from someone by offering something in return. That's literally trading. Once agreement is reached in the terms of exchange, a transaction takes place. Value refers to the relative or perceived value that the product has because of factors such as pricing, availability, quality. Remember, in value, there's a relative value or what we call a perceived value. We can also reflect on the manner of a transaction becomes part of the marketing strategy, as there are certain needs attached to the terms of exchange. Value is also closely linked to this. How does your need in terms of exchange differ between obtaining a property or a hamburger? There's an activity here, activity number 1, which involves, I'll just go through it, but if we can touch some of the things we can be able to touch, but we may not necessarily. Your facilitator will divide you into pairs with a partner to do the following activities. The purchase of a house is not simply a means of a roof over your head. Identify the needs satisfying priorities, properties that a house has for different people. Identify at least 3 types of consumer in your discussion, and the of the concepts below, and compare in the table. So you look at those 3 concepts that we spoke about: your need, the product, and the exchange. So these are the different. This is the activity I don't want us to necessarily go into it for now, but we'll get another activity going forward. So let's talk about the market in marketing plan. Many businesses become excited about what their good and or service can do, that they forget to assess its value to the customers. In the end, the business can succeed only if enough people recognize that value and are willing to pay for it. The organization should begin by asking the customer and the market questions such as the following: how will it benefit the customer? How many people stand to benefit? The size or the potential of the market. So you are actually sizing up your market. Is the market stable or growing? If growing, at what annual rate? What percentage of the total market could the product or the service reasonably hope to capture over the next coming years or a few years, the next year or a few years? Is another product or service from competition available to fill part of this demand? Features of the product compared to the competitor. Are potential customers aware of their need for this product or service? Is the need latent or undiscovered? So if the need is something that is already there, it's a different story. Or if they have not yet discovered the need, you need to be able to look at that. So how can you reach the potential customers and make a transaction directly, or through distributors, or through the retail market? So these are the different ways to be able to look at. If everyone can mute, please. Thank you, Maxwell. Okay. So this is the second activity that we can look at. Let me see if we can be able to maybe touch on this. These are the market features. How can you reach the potential customer and make a transaction directly or through distributors or through retail stores? Select one of the following products and determine some of the market features by using the questions above as a guideline. Exclusive herbal and natural food store, bed and breakfast establishment, penthouse development. You look at what's the customer size and benefits, other products that are competing, products visibility, need, and target market. So I'll urge you to look at also this, which will these are the different market features that your customer size and benefits, the products that are competing, product visibility, the need, the target market, and all that. You will need to go through this activity to be able to, as a group. I think you can do it either alone or as a group. It's still fine. Introduction to marketing principles will continue. We're going to go through what we call the process of marketing plan, the 10 steps to marketing planning or market planning. Or we have, these are the different steps. So I'm gonna go through each one of them and we can just expand in detail. We've got step 1, which is the business review. From the business review, you look at the problem and the opportunities. What are the problems, or what is the problem, and what are the opportunities that are available? And then we go further to the sales objectives. What are we looking at? What do we want to be able to achieve? How much do we want to be able to sell? And then we move to step 4, which is the target market and the marketing objectives. Who is your target market? How are you going to market this particular product? And then the 5th one is your plan strategies. So we'll look at, this is the scope, the product market review, and the target market effectors. So the company strengths and weaknesses, it's something that you'll need to be able to look at and say, as a business, what is our strength and what is our weaknesses? We normally would use your SWOT analysis to be able to figure that out. What are your core competencies? What are you good at as a business? And this is the scope that you need to look at. Marketing capabilities. Do we have the capability to be able to market this product? What else do we have that can be able to distinguish us from even our competitors? The product and market review will look at the company and the product review. Of course, we're looking at reviewing the full company as per the scope that we have detailed. The product, what product do we have? What are the different attributes of this particular product? What makes this product to be good or to appeal to the market that we are looking at? What category and the company sales? So we'll categorize our sales and know that these are the different categories that we have within the company. Are we going to be able to distribute? What is the distribution model? And the pricing, how are we going to be able to price our products? So we have what we call a target market effectors that looks at consumer and business. Consumer, which is your consumer targets, or business to business targets. Are we looking at who are we serving? Are we serving the consumer directly, or is it business to business? Or what we call your B2C or B2B type of model. Product awareness and attribute. Do we know our products? Are we aware of the different attributes that are attached to our products? Then we've got trial and retrial data. So it will look at the different data that we are able to pick up in terms of our market, And then after trying, we now re-establish the new data. After putting the product out there or sampling the market, we are able to redo the data and model it backwards. So from we were up to step number 5, which is plan the strategies. Now we go further to communication goals. How are we going to, what is an effective way to be able to communicate our marketing plan, and how are we going to be able to do that? When would we say we have communicated well to our clients, basically? Number 7, target marketing and tool mix. How are we going to be able to target that market? What are the tools that we are going to use? Like in this day and age, we have social media. If you go to Facebook, for instance, you are able to sample or to pick up your market and say, this is the market that we are targeting in this particular area. And it will tell you what will be the reach, for instance, how many people, the interaction, it can be able to give you that interaction. So you are able to choose different picks, and out of that, if you are using Facebook, for instance, you can be able to now then boost how many people you can be able to reach, depending on your target area and all those kind of things. What is the right tool to be able to use? Is it just Facebook? Is it social media? Is it a mix of traditional marketing tools? If it's social media, what's the difference between using Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, for instance? Who exactly are you targeting? So for LinkedIn, you'll be looking at maybe people who are more business professionals and business people and all that. Facebook, it's literally more general. What is the target? That's step number 8. When we have established those tools, what is the budget? Payback analysis, how are the returns going to look like? Then you set up even your calendar and all that. And then step number 9, we start to execute the plan. So everything that we have set, we've already established, we've reviewed the business, we have the problem and the opportunity, we have set our sales objective, we have a target market, and we have a marketing objective, we have a plan and the strategy of how we are going to do it, we have our communication goals, how are we going to lay out our marketing plan, we have our tool, we have targeted our tools that we are going to use, the different tools that we are going to reach our clients. We have the budget, we've got a date or when we want this to be able to happen. Now we can be able to execute. After execution, step number 10, we evaluate how we have laid out our plan. Did the plan work out well? Did the strategy work or not? So again, looking at your scope in this segment of the process, your product, your naming, your packaging, your pricing, which is very critical. The product market and review will be, how are we going to distribute this product? Personal selling or services, is that how are we going to be able to do that? Your promotion, your events, how are we going to, so in real estate, you'd have somebody maybe put a gazebo somewhere else along the street. Is that going to be the best way to be able to do it? What is our advertising market? What are we going to be able to put out there? Your target market effectors will be your advertising media, your internet media, merchandising, what type of t-shirts and all those kind of things, public relations. How are we going to all do that? So this, in essence, it's the process flow, or what are 10 steps in our marketing plan or to marketing planning.
Moses, there's
Yes.
a hand, Ludwe.
Ludwe? Yes, go ahead. Thanks, Munisa. Pagat?
Ludwe, you unmute. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Oh, sorry, I raised the hand by mistake. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Pagat Ludwe. Okay, can we continue?
Yes, you may, Moses.
Thank you, Nisa. Okay, so we've already touched on some of these things. Maybe just to give a description, but I've already touched on this. Sorry, just want to move my phone. My apology. So we've touched on the business review, marketing database, and situation analysis. This is about understanding the scope of your business and analysis of the company, the product, and the marketplace relevant to your specific target market and your competitive situation. Who are your competitors around? The problem and the opportunity would be the summary of the challenges that emerge from marketing database to form the basis of the marketing plan. Then when we look at the actual marketing plan, we have your sales objective, which is the projected level of goods or services to be sold. How many are we looking at selling? Everything else in the marketing plan is designed to meet these objectives. So this is very critical, from defining the size of the market, of the target market, and establishing the market objectives, to the amount of advertising. How much do you need to? How far do you go? Your personnel that is needed, your distribution channel or channels or your stores, the products to be utilized. Then we've got the fourth one, which is the target market and objectives, the group of people with a set common characteristics that have similar purchasing needs and buying habits. So this one I'll repeat. So it's a set of common characteristics that has similar purchasing power. So it's people, a group of people, they will have a similar purchasing power, purchasing needs, buying habits, and the behavior you want from that target market in measurable terms. So everything has to objectives have to be smart. So we need to be able to measure that in number to say how many people are we looking at. Plan strategies. This is about positioning for the image of your product or a service, a strategy to fulfill the marketing objective. So brand positioning of your product within a particular target market, which is relative to your competition and according to the marketing objectives. A marketing strategy is the statement of how the marketing objectives will be achieved in a quantifiable, measurable step, and the methodology and the tactical marketing tools to be used. So it has to be clear how many people, what are we going to achieve, what are the steps that we are going to take, what method are we going to use, what tools are we going to be able to deploy. If those things are not clear, then it's not a real strategy. Your communication goals, it's about your awareness, the market's awareness and attitudes necessary to deliver positioning and fulfill a marketing objective. So your tool mix, we've already spoken about that. Your evaluation, measuring the level of success of the overall marketing plan and its specific elements. That your research and testing as information gathering exercise and learning tools for future improvements and corrections or adjustments. This is evaluation is always critical. If you are not evaluating the work that you're doing or the strategy, you'll find that you are literally going the wrong direction. So it's important to, when you evaluate, you reiterate. You are able to change and tweak your strategy so that, and your plan, so that you can be able to do it better next time. So in business review, these are the different questions that you need to be able to answer, and three to be specific. Who is it for? Who's the target market? What does it do? What is the scope? How far do we go? How is it different? Your brand positioning. So your target market, we all understand. This is consumer behavior is the process and activities people are involved in as they move through the purchasing decision. So before somebody decides they are going to be able to purchase a particular product, they go through a particular decision process. Consumers behave in a certain way and they change their ways over time due to many factors related to your social, your personal, your geographic and psychographic trends. A specific target market needs to be established in general in terms of the buyer's profile for the particular area. And then a more specific buyer's profile can be compiled for a particular property. So there could be just a profile based on the area, and we can be more specific looking at a particular property. Your scope would look at what does it do. Business scope identified the following elements. We'll look at the company's strengths and weaknesses. We've already spoken about that. What do you have that market wants and needs and consumes? Where are you strong than or more vulnerable to the competitors? So all those are important to be able to evaluate. Your core competencies. What is the organization specific good at? What do you do best that others maybe may not necessarily be good in terms of operation, your marketing or strategic or operational management? Exceptional products. It could be that the product that you have, it's literally exceptional. The accessibility and availability. It may be exceptional, but is it accessible? Is it easily available? How can we use that to our competitive advantage? How do we position ourselves in such a way that our core competencies set us apart from others or give us an advantage to our competitors or our rivals? Your marketing capabilities are also as critical. What are your marketing capabilities? What are you able to do in terms of your marketing? What do you have? High awareness, desirable brand name, large customer list, which I was talking to somebody to say this day you can be able to literally buy a database of an area which gets updated over time. You find this course, you are able to know that in a particular, maybe a particular estate, you get a database to be able to, lawyers do it. They are able to see that people who are not paying their levies, for instance, you are able to see that this one is gonna sell anytime, things like that. Of course, there's a right way to be able to do it, which is buy a database from the right companies. Your high repetitive retention. Can you be able to keep certain customers? Here is another activity that we can look at, activity number 3. Some of these activities may not be easy to be able to do it here. Like I emphasized, due to time, you can be able to go through that activity. If there's any issue, we are more than available to be able to assist. So let's go to, we're going to, after that activity, I won't go, your market review, product and market review. So what are your organization's long and short-term goals, your operational budget, your planned profit margins for each particular product? Okay, all right. So I think the emphasis there is that the activities, you'll be able to do them also as a group. I think Rina was just giving them me that tip or a reminder. So if we look at the pricing elements to be able to consider, you have price of your products or a brand relative to the competition. So in terms of your description, your price is within a comparative or comparable bracket. So if you look at different competitors, you'll be able to say, where do we put our price? How do we price it? Your unique brand, is your brand that unique? Your features, the benefits justify, or the brand, the features, do they justify a higher price or a lower price? That's important. your distribution of sales by price or point relative to competition. So that's the second one. Do competitors raise or lower prices at certain periods, like your holiday town, your tourist areas, your seasonal adjustments, things like that? Certain times you'd find that your competitors will be able to, or there are seasons that you can be able to raise prices. For instance, if you are doing short-term rentals like your Airbnb, for instance, you'd find that if you are supposed to sell a house that somebody is buying during winter, they may not necessarily be able to make money. But if it's summer in a particular area, unless if it's in an area where there's snow, then they'll probably do well during that time. But if it's summer, you'd find that in a specific area, it should probably be able to do well in a certain area. If for instance, this side we have your Baldwin properties, for instance, which have a lagoon. During this time, they may not necessarily do well. It's winter, people don't necessarily want to swim unless if they are in Cape Town, maybe. But this side, it may not be that easy. So if you are selling during that time, you need to be, and somebody is buying specifically for short-term rental, you'll find that the prices, the demand may not necessarily be that high. If the prices, maybe it's a bit lower, it will definitely affect even the price. We also have what we call your price elasticity of demand of your product. If the product goes on sale, do sales go up or they stay the same? Can the price create desirability? Can people buy because the price is good, it's lower or higher? Is the product price elastic? Your cost structure of the product category also matters. This will be described as, are their price points product? The stores, the brand that sell more or less, are they more than yours? Is a promotion or partnership or specific distribution outlet or discount, credit, your return policies, your different charges that you would have, are they more important to your product? So these are the different cost structures of the product category. Your brand positioning. We look at what we call your anchor, and then we'll look at also what is the indicator to that particular anchor. Your market share. What is your market share? What's the percentage of sales of your company compared to overall sales in the country? Your based on your geographics or a specific area, the time period and trends in the market share. Your target market. Who's your primary target market? And the percentage sales they account for in comparison to your competitors. So it's important to be able to see what's the sales that they account for. So you could have a target market, but in terms of your sales compared to your competitors, maybe it's literally very low. It may not be that desirable after all. Your positioning, positioning preemptive or it's reactive? Are you able to, if it's preemptive, it means you're positioning yourself in such a way that before somebody, you're not just reacting to the market or to the customers in the particular area. You are able to maybe preempt somebody realizing that particular need. Your awareness and attitude score, consumers aware of, are they aware, and what is their attitude towards that particular company and that particular product? So you need to be able to gauge the awareness of the consumer. Do they know the company very well? Do they know the product very well? What is their attitude towards that? Your distribution, your store, or your penetration and your coverage strategy. How are you going to be able to distribute this compared to your product compared to your competitors? How are you going to penetrate the market, for instance? How how much are you going to be able to cover of the target market that is there compared to your competitors? You are looking at also your customer service policy, which will be, do you have a buy? Of course, in our sector, most of these things are regulated by your different laws that we have. I think Rina went through some of those things. What does your consumer protection say about that particular product? It's not just something that you make up, but it could be that there are underlying laws that protects the consumer in relation to that particular product. So your promotion, reliance on promotion, the success and failures out of the promotion in comparison to your competitors. So all these things are always in contrast to say, is our promotion working very well? When we compare to our competitors, how are we doing? Your advertising message is the same thing. How you create your awareness, the attitudes and the education message in line with the vision and the mission. Your media strategies, we've already touched on this. Your merchandising, how are you going to be able to put the different attached products around that? Testing and research development, your target tests and research conducted into competition status, your competitive status. How are you doing? How competitive are you in that particular market? So these are the different things that one would need to be able to look at. Just give me a second. We've spoken about your target market effectors. In order for any market plan to be successful, the organization must know who the customer is and who is not. What are their values, perceptions, awareness, and behaviors towards your particular your product? So if you are not clear about who your customer is, you'd find that your marketing will be all over the place. Of course, your strategy will definitely will not be clear at all. So you segment your target market to say purchase that you can be able to, these particular people can be able to purchase the value, the money value of segment, the profit attributed to that particular segment. In this sector specifically, we'll look at what are people earning in that particular area, who can afford the kind of product that you are selling. It may not be for everyone. Is it in the affordable markets sector? Is it those who are? Is it high net worth individuals who can be able to afford that particular product? So it's important to be fully aware of who your target market is. If you can define your target market very well, you'd find that your marketing strategy will definitely be flawed. So some of the things here are your target market segment will look at the issues of what we call psychographic or lifestyle segment, your personality descriptors, what type of people are they, the perfectionists, easygoing, social, academics, or physical, the activities, what do they do? Are they outdoor? Are they indoor? Artistic, cultural, political? This will define some of the things. If it's property, if it's an estate, what type of amenities are available in that particular area? It speaks to some of these things. Purchase attitudes: do they buy easily? Economy-minded, impulse buyers? Are they price conscious? Are they style conscious? Quality conscious? Technology conscious? Cash or credit? Service oriented? Some of those things. Are you looking at cash buyers? Are you looking at somebody, can they afford the bond for that for that reason? Do they look at the type of economy that we are in, like right now, COVID? Is it people who are sensitive to that? So you need to be very clear. Then you can easily be able to segment your target market. Okay, so I will jump. These are the activities that you can be able to go through. Now let's look at the product attribute. Product attribute or benefits derived from consumer perceptions of that particular product. When a consumer has a different need perception than the marketing strategy, misalignment may cause the consumer to turn elsewhere to be able to satisfy their need. So it's important, for example, businessmen purchasing clothes may not necessarily want the cheapest price, but rather quality and value for money. If the main attribute of the menswear is marketed as cheap, it may not satisfy the consumer's need. In such a case, repositioning may have to take place or aligning the market strategy with the perceived benefits of the product. So we have an activity here which you can be able to look at. I think you look at identify the main branding features and perceived benefits of each of the following. Your Pam Golding, for instance, you look at what are the branding features and what are the perceived benefits. Your BMW, same thing, and also pay. Now let's go to your product life cycle. All products have a life cycle. A product will go through different phases. We have an introductory phase. We've got evoke and then maturity. Or actually, it moves in this cycle: introduction, maturity, and then evoke. Your introduction will be aggressive awareness and branding campaigns, market establishment through trial and retrial consumption. Your maturity phase will be awareness and target market establishment, product standardized, sophisticated and fierce competition to retain market share. So the target here is about retaining the market share. Your evoke phase will be where a product needs to be repositioned or revamped, either with its history as a main feature or under a new improved or status. So these are the different life cycle that a product will go through. First, it will be a massive awareness where everybody gets to understand the product. The maturity level now, it's about products being standardized, the sophistication of it, and all those things. The target market here, or the target goal, the main goal here, how do we retain the market share that we have had? So the product is already, people are already aware of the product that we have. How do we make sure that we never slip off to the competitors? Your evoke, again, as an emphasis, it's about repositioning. How do we, you would find that maybe it gets rebranded, for instance. Same product is just for people to be able to see it differently. Maybe we have a different message, emphasis than we had before on the same product, but the idea ultimately is to say our product needs to remain in the minds of the people, and people need to be able to come back again and again. Problems and opportunities. Your problems are derived from opportunities, from situations of weakness. Opportunities are developed from strength or positive circumstances. Problems and opportunities may be identified in the following areas. Your sales review. Sales are up or down. Your competitor review. Competitors are weaker or strong. Your target market review will look at the targeted consumers. Do we have a bigger number? Are they less, or are they aligned? Awareness and attitudes or review or attribute review. Your product awareness. Are people aware of the product? Is it accepted? What is the value that people see? Your trial and retrial review will include your product sustainability. How does the product sustain in the market? Okay. There's a case study here. Maybe this one, let's just actually go through it. The real estate generation gap. The baby boomers are trying to sell, but who's buying? A reader recently forwarded an interesting article to me, which I encourage everyone to do, about the real estate generation gap. This article does a fantastic job in presenting a very real problem with the current real estate situation. With an already soft real estate market, the prospect of even more homes fueling the inventory makes the situation potentially much worse. What is the problem? Baby boomers fueled the housing market for the past 10 to 15 years as their kids moved out, and strong allowed them to be able to buy or bigger houses or build bigger houses. As retirement draws near, many of these boomers find they no longer need as much home, much house as they used to, and are possibly looking at moving. Typically, that wouldn't be a problem, but it is. The problem is that many of those in Generation X do not seek or have a desire to own a large home, or aren't even at a stage in their career where that type of purchase can be made, or they can be able to even afford. As more and more boomers seek in the sale of their homes, who are the buyers? A false sense of worth. Another big problem with the generation is that many find the bulk of their net worth tied up to real estate. Many of individuals purchased or built a new home during the rapid expansion of the 90s, and saw home values double or triple in some places. This growth fueled the idea of using their homes to fund large portions of their retirement. As home prices levels off, it begins to fall in some of the areas. These people will not be able to get what their home. So literally, the price will be the home will be much more expensive than what they could be able to get in the market. Some will simply refuse to sell at the discounted price, while others will sell and take a significant hit. Suddenly, they realize that they do not have the money they thought they did. Unfortunately, this is all too real. I'm with a woman with just this week that was planning on retiring in the coming year, and was seeking advice. Her retirement account was valued at under 180,000 rand. She said she realized it wasn't enough. So I asked what her plans were, if she was going to continue working part-time or had other savings, and she said no. She told me that she had planned on using her home for the majority of her retirement when she sold it and moved out. But she was upset because she can't sell it for what she thought or what she thinks it's worth right now, and doesn't know what to do. The problems and opportunity based on the case study. Clearly, the soft housing market is a cause of concern for those people. But how serious is it? According to the article, if every single member of the Generation X wanted to buy one of the baby boomers' 34 million homes, and every single baby boomers wanted to vacate, all the homes would get sold. With 15 million Generation Xers left over. But the numbers do not actually work out that way, since most of the young would-be buyers are coupled up. In reality, there's not enough Generation X household to go around. It is not a generation that particularly likes the big homes that many baby boomers have gone for anyway. That's the problem. Clearly, not every baby boomers will sell just like not every Generation X person will be buying. But the numbers are alarming. There are many more boomers than our generation, and we don't even care to live in the houses they do. Who's going to buy them? The problem is that our younger generation doesn't want their Oppenheimers or large homes. Our generation is waiting longer to get married, having fewer kids, and focusing on building careers. We don't have a need for larger homes, nor can we afford what our parents are asking for them. The boomers are left holding the bag, and I'm not sure how ultimately play out. There is around that there is an activity that you can be able to look at, activity number 6. Please go through it. But in essence, based on this, there is a problem and also an opportunity. And I think the idea of the case study is to be able to see that what seems to be a problem could also literally be an opportunity. And it's always, in business, we always look at it that way. What is the problem for somebody else? It's an opportunity. And a businessman or an entrepreneur is always looking at the best way to be able to solve the current problem. So you innovate, you come up with a solution to be able to solve. In reality here, baby boomers have a problem. They need to be able to sell their homes, their big houses and all those kind of things. The question is, what is the best way to be able to do it? In a way, they've already over invested and all that. So we always have to look at, in every problem, we look at what is the opportunity and how best to be able to solve it. As an estate agent, you are faced with people like this, and I think even right now in the current situation, more and more people, money has eroded, more and more people who have bought big houses, they will need to be able to sell. As estate agents, can we be able to offer better solutions to that? As developers, those who are developers, can you be able to offer better solutions to that? How best do we go around some of those things? We have a situation right now in property. For instance, the problem of COVID has affected commercial properties. Some of them are actually buying them out and converting them to residential properties. Instead of just having those commercial properties empty, they get converted. So it's a problem exists, but there's always a solution or an opportunity to be able to turn the situation around. And that's what people are looking at when they meet an estate agent. Give me a solution. You become a solution provider when it comes to property. Okay, so I want us to, this is the activity. Okay, just give me a sec. Okay, let's look at the marketing of just give me a sec. Okay, let's start here. Your sales objectives. We've looked at that at the top. So we are actually unpacking some of these things so that it's much more clearer. Your sales objectives, they are self-defining. The project levels of goods or services to be sold. Everything that follows in the plan is designed with the sales objectives. Confirming the size of the target market, establishing a realistic marketing objective, determining the amount of advertising and promotion amount to be budgeted, the actual hiring of marketing and sales personnel, distribution channels and all that, and finally the amount of the product to be able to be produced. So these are so we have the different elements of the sales objectives, which are the challenging and what is challenging and the ones which are also attainable. If the sales targets are not set realistically, operational costs are bound to increase drastically in an effort to attain these particular goals. If sales objectives ain't realistic, the sales exceed expectations. You may not have planned for the additional demands on infrastructure, cash flow, production, distribution requirements, after sales service. For instance, if you and this is something that I've seen it actually happen most of the time. You add, the more you increase the number of people, or you have a sudden demand all of a sudden. If you didn't set out a realistic one, you'd find that you have not allocated the right resources to be able to make sure that the product ultimately reaches the client. In this market of, we have seen certain tools like your Zuzi that is going on. You can be able to buy products, but Because of lack of proper infrastructure, the demand is there. People are buying online things very quickly, but because of lack of, for instance, the right infrastructure, you find that maybe wrong products are being delivered, things like that. It ends up working against the very purpose that we're doing. You are able to meet the numbers, but you are not realistic in allocating the right resources. The time-specific issue. Are we looking at short-term sales targets, which are generally for about one objectives, maybe set over a period of 3 to 5 years? Short-term yearly objectives must be on a quarterly basis, even a monthly basis, to ensure that the path is laid out and it's still being followed. Intervention strategies are to be implemented simultaneously. So you don't have a plan that you never reevaluate. Every time, once you have put something, you need to have intervention strategy. Your the way you are able to measure in rands, it has to be measurable in money terms, number of units sold, transactions, how many transactions have gone, persons served, how many people actually have been served. So it's important to be able to have those things being clear. Your target market and marketing objectives. Once you have developed the sales objectives, you must determine to whom you will be selling your product. Aim at fulfilling those needs and wants better than the competition thereof. And the determination of the target market is the most critical step in marketing planning process. The marketer must decide which target segment will form the core of the business and receive the emphasis of the effort and the budget. Your target market is the key to your product existence. In your marketing answers, let the target market drive your marketing plan. Your target market segment, so you are actually going to divide the market into segment. Segmentation is a selection process that divides the broad consuming market into measurable customer or non-customer groups with a common characteristics. So based on the different characteristics or attributes of your customers, you'll be able to segment them accordingly to say these ones don't fit, they are not necessarily our customers. These ones, they fit the similar buying appetite or buying behavior. All those attributes that relates to the need, you are able to attach them. Then you will have a segmented target market. Segmentations allow the marketer to exploit the common characteristic consumer or consumers who have a unique yet similar demographics, attitudes, lifestyle, concerns, purchasing habits, needs, and wants. There are two broad segments for most businesses within which you will develop additional strategies for targeting your current customers and even your new customers. So it's always the case. Your current customers, how do we keep the current? The new customers, how do we make sure we expand or grow our market and be able to find new customers? Those that you have, the objective is to keep. The new ones, we need to be able to bring them in our fold and make sure that they never leave. Then we've got activity number 7. Moving forward, if I may ask, so far, is there any question? Is there anything? Are we still together? I know I've been just moving without necessarily, I see somebody is leaving, but are we still together? Do you understand the marketing plan? Is that something that we can be able to follow? I know it's a bit of a strange, marketing, it seems easy, but the moment you formalize it, it looks like, yeah, this is starting to be too technical. But how are we doing? Are we still okay? Any question? Shall we move on? Rina? Roland?
I'm here, Moses. Now you're audible. I can just add on maybe something here is that although it feels it's boring or whatever, I don't know how one can feel about it, but it's something that we use quite often in the real estate, well, on each listing actually, but it also forms a very big part of the exam, the NQF4 exam. So one mustn't overlook this module, please.
Okay, thank you, Rina. Okay, let's move on. We'll go through the market factors. The factors that needs to be considered in establishing your target market are as follows. Your gender and positioning. For example, is a female homemaker. Homemaker is like a housewife. Your age, what age group are we looking at? Occupation, lower, middle, higher skilled, professional, managerial. If you look at, for instance, some of these things, household size, is it a single person? Are they two? How big is the household? Household income, how much do they earn per month? It's important because you don't want to position your product to somebody who will not be able to afford. Your educational level, semi-literate, educated, high school degree, professional, vocational. How is this important? It's also on the part of it has to do with the awareness of the product. The education level may matter on how aware they are about the product. Somebody who's buying a property for investment may not necessarily have the same buying decision as somebody who's buying a house to stay in. Somebody who's buying a property because they want to be next to a school, it's a different thing altogether. So your education level may actually matter on the decision making on how somebody buys, of course, the property. But also your profession, whether somebody is educated or not, it also links up to your income levels and things like that. Psychographics would be looking at your personality descriptors like your lifestyle activities, your purchase attitudes, etc. Your attribute indicators, your values, the value of the product, the quality, the style, the fashion, the endurance, things like that. There are different people who would buy, they use that to be able to buy, to make decisions on what they buy. What is the value? Is it a good quality or not? Is it the style? Is it the right style? Is it fashionable? Is it trendy? Things like that. Your geographic or demographic, what is the race, for instance? Indian, white, black, Hindu, Christian, urban, informal, or segment or formal, flat or house dwellers, things like that. I've got, interesting enough, I've got a young, my brother-in-law is a young man who's just started working. He's staying in a flat, he's renting currently. Doesn't cook, he's by himself, normally orders food. It's actually interesting, some of the decisions. Now he wants to buy a house, well, a place to, a house, apartment, townhouse, and all that. Because of the stairs in second floor where he is, he's now deciding he doesn't want a flat anymore. He wants a house. And it's amazing how he gets to that decision is different from how I would decide whether a house or a flat. To him, it's about, when I'm staying, there's too much stairs. When I have to go take my order, I have to go down every time. It's too much work for me. Amazing how some of these things work. So whether somebody, how old a person, it matters in how they make the decision. So even when you do your market segment, you'll be able, you need to be very clear about what type of a person you are looking at. Your primary or secondary target, you're looking at your volume and concentration. Is it a small town numbers, or what is the buying power compared to your Sandton or your Soweto, for instance? Then we come to marketing objectives. Marketing objectives, they define the target market behavior required to be able to produce sales. This is important. So ultimately, we want to be able to get our sales. Your retention of current customers, increased purchases from existing customers, trial from customers, retrial, repeat purchases, or purchases, new customers, secondary marketing, ID, word of mouth of customers. That is also very important. So a marketing objective must be specific, which means focus on a single goal, be measurable, must be quantifiable in terms of the target market behavior and resulting sales. So we need to be able to know how many sales are we going to make out of this. Relate to a time period, 6 months or a year or more. Focus on affecting target market behavior. What do we want exactly with that particular market? Is it a retain the customers? Is it trial of a product? Is it a large purchases, more frequent purchases, things like that? We need to be very clear about our objectives. So I repeat, it needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to relate to a particular period, it needs to focus on affecting target market behavior. And then you will do the activity. The activity involves the goals, the results of what you want, basically looking at your market objective. Are we clear with the market objective? Now we move on to strategy. Strategy is it's a broad directional statement indicating how the marketing objective will be achieved. Represent a first overview of various marketing elements and how they will be utilized to achieve a marketing objective. The most common addressed strategy issues are as follows: build the market or steal the market strategies, national, regional, or local strategies, seasonality strategies, spending strategies. So we're looking at the spending pattern. Somebody's going to buy more. Competitive strategies that relates to your competitors. Target market strategies, it means we are more zoomed into the target market. Product strategies, a strategy relating to our particular product. Naming strategies, packaging strategies, how you package your that could be a strategy. Okay, your pricing strategy, your personal selling strategy. These are the different strategies that you have. The most common, your internet media strategies. Maybe just give me a sec. Okay, so we'll touch on some of these strategies. Your promotions or event strategies, advertising media strategies, public relations strategies, and yeah. Any question so far? Any question? Anyone who wants to add something? To learn.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Is it making sense?
Yes, the content is a bit overwhelming at face value, but as you were going through the plans, the marketing plans, strategies, and everything, I was thinking about Nokia as well, to see where did they lose it, because they had a majority market share, mostly in Africa and particularly in our country. So there's a part where you also said you have to look at your target market and how the current generation, how they're moving to technology, that if you don't look at the technology aspect, you might lose some market share there.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm just following also based on that thinking that how not to lose it going forward.
Thank you. What went wrong with Nokia? How did they lose it?
Well, I'm assuming that when Nokia, because I was using a Nokia myself, when other service providers or cell phone providers moved more into the technology space and internet and all this with BlackBerry, Samsung, they just stayed basic and I would say a bit arrogant, not moving with the needs of the time. Yeah.
Right. So part of it, thank you, Tulani. Yeah, part of it is usability. When Android was introduced, they were stuck with operating systems that were very difficult to use. Things like that. I mean, now actually Nokia is back. They're running on Android, but the market has moved. I mean, very few people. It's just nostalgia. Those who want to go back to who still use Nokia. How many people are using Nokia in the room? To tell you the generation. Okay, so they try to come back to the market. Thank you, Tulani. I think it's quite an interesting example. They try to come back. There's a new 3310. Back in my days, we used to call it a student card. It came back. I don't know if people are still interested in that. It's a good phone. I bought one for my mother because it's got buttons. But right now we use touch screen. Is it still relevant? No, the marketing strategy may not necessarily have worked very well. So thank you, Tulani. Wayne. Waynand. Are we still there? Jane Weber. How are we doing?
I'm good, thanks.
How do you pronounce your name?
It's Giannis.
Giannis. I apologize.
Yes.
I just said Jane.
Yeah.
Giannis.
Yes.
So you see, it's important to understand your customer.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think?
No, marketing is very, like you said, it's very real and it's very prominent, and you must keep up with the changes, and it changes sometimes so quickly.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad we are going together. Do you think there is a need to be able to marketing to be a strategy for the business?
Yeah, of course, because taking the example of Nokia again, they probably thought in the direction they were going in was the best direction. Obviously, the other guys moved in a technology direction. Nokia didn't do marketing strategy and didn't do any research on that, and that's very crucial to do that. Yeah.
Right. Do you think their marketing team was feeding them back what the changes that are happening in the market? Who do you think failed? Do you think it's the arrogance of the top management, or is the arrogance, or there was a misalignment between the marketing strategy and what is happening at the product side?
I think it might be a bit of both. But at the end of the day, the guys that get the blame is obviously the management, regardless if the guys in the marketing department were to blame. At the end of the day, it's the guys at the top that must make the right decisions. But definitely the marketing guys didn't inform them, or they didn't want to listen to them. I'm not sure, but there was definitely a problem there with the communication.
Okay. Thank you, Johannes. Maxwell, I see a hand there.
Yeah, it is very much important to be in the market and competitive and move with times. Like now, currently, we just like I'm in the mining industry, where I'm involved in the underground and surface. Like now on the surface, we just build equipment that uses the iTablet, where you just use the iTablet to check the diameter of the hole and the depth. The equipment will automatically put the explosive in terms of the information that the tablet gathered on the hole. So it's very much to market yourself with technology.
That's important. Thank you, Maxwell. So, do you understand that even the sectors, when you are developing, and I'm picking up something here which is interesting, that there's a direct link between, there has to be a direct communication between marketing and the product that is being developed. So that loop has to exist, that the information that is being found on the ground as the product is being sold, it needs to be able to feed back into the production. It's not an isolated process. How the product gets packaged has to be informed by marketing, because marketing understands the people, understand the needs, understand the product has to be very clear, and ultimately what is the value that people want to be able to get at the end of the day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to this, but I think it's interesting. I'm glad that we are going together, and we can be able to align. I know my number one man, Vomata, is still away.
Maxwell, your hand is still up.
Okay.
Oh, do you still? Okay, thank you.
Let me just go back. Okay, so we've just touched on the general marketing strategies, which, as you can see, they are very diverse. Part of what we're talking about is your packaging strategy. How do you package this? There's also your product strategy. That's critical. How your product gets packaged and how you're going to be able to sell it outside. It's one of them. Their focus is ecosystem. So whatever they design, whatever product they get, they need to be able to bring it. It has to be designed and fit in within the ecosystem. And how new features gets introduced, it has to fit in with the ecosystem that they have. Okay, let's talk about your communication goals. Therefore, representing awareness, attitude, action, and product awareness starts with aided or unaided awareness of the product. So it's either we induce the awareness of the product, or it just happens. The product is out there, people get to understand the product. Once the consumer is aware of the product, they form an opinion or position or attitude around the product. Would they try it or switch to it? That's important. Then the consumer purchase the product on a trial basis action. As a first-time user, a lasting impression is now formed, and the product must earn its keep. So once the action that the first action that gets taken is to try out the product. If the product is good, it must prove itself that the consumer will be able to keep the client. The consumer takes the critical decision to repeat the purchase. This is the beginning of retaining a customer. A product loyalty that must be nurtured, maintained, and protected from competitive poachers. So the market it's full of vultures, the competition and all that. So these repetitive or repeating these different A's, it's critical. Your awareness, your action. The first action is the first contact with the product. The second action is to be able for the new repetitive purchases or somebody coming back again and again and again. Ingome mnandi yaphindwa. I hope I've said that right. Operationalize your communication plan. Once the communication plan is in place, a clear operational strategy must be developed to launch the plan effectively and efficiently and effectively. Effective and efficient operational implementation can happen if the plan is clear, the goals are defined, and data for collection, analysis, and interpretation and action are clearly defined. So it's important to be able to clearly define your goals, your data collection, the analysis and the interpretation, and the action that needs to be taken. Your marketing mix tools, that's number 5. The marketing mix is a combination of elements that go to frame the marketing strategy for the company in relation to the products or services to help them achieve their marketing objectives. Traditionally, the marketing mix has focused on 4 elements: product, place, price, promotion. Product, place, price, promotion. What product do we have? What place, price, and then the promotion. There are an additional 3 P's that now make up what has been referred to the 7 P's of marketing. It's now process, physical environment, and also people. Your marketing mix tools would be, which we are in step 7, your product naming, the packaging, and the pricing, how you're going to be able to distribute, the distribution channels, personal selling services, promotion of events. These are the tactical marketing tools, mixed tools that you are looking at. Advertising messages, advertising media, internet media, merchandising, and public relations. Product name and packaging. The product.
Sorry, Moses.
Yes.
Sorry, Moses. There's a hand, Dendi.
Hi, I was hoping you wouldn't point at me. I wanted to just be one of those naughty kids who could just raise up their hand and never be pointed at.
Dendi.
Yes, can you hear me?
Very well.
Yes, we can.
I wanted to probably just pause for a second here and say, how does this relate to our profession as property practitioners, in particular the issues of the 7 P's, for instance? How does it relate? Examples, for instance.
Okay, let me just go to that. So, okay, please, you can give us an example, please. Dendi?
You know, the one thing that is really in my mind now, particularly on the edge of technology, as we call it now, the whole industry in particular has been so much threatened that every single thing that we are doing most of the time, it's really reactive. So I would like to just maybe open up a podium just for a deliberation. Let's take, for an example, some of the many different companies that have been formed just basically on one market value proposition, for instance, or one marketing propositions, for instance. If you think about your companies, I know that there are companies like 3% commission. It's a company, it's a strategy. And when they thought they were the lowest, someone else came, and I think now, what do we call those other companies? I think there are a few that now charge a fixed 1.5 and all of that, and literally giving power to the people or to the consumers. Then the question comes, how, as property practitioners, could we still stand to have value if companies like those in the age of technological era, like now, can still be chosen? Because I think this is a very critical question that I'm asking, and I can only hope that it's making sense to say, what we call, maybe you guys can help me. There are companies that are now charging as little as 1.5%, for instance. And if you ask me, either we're going to say they are the threat, or it's an opportunity for the property practitioners to reinvent themselves. In the same way that those people are property practitioners like any of us here. That's if some of us will not go and say, now I sell property for 1% commission just to beat, what do we call those? You can help each other there.
Okay. Thank you, Dendi. I think that's actually an interesting one, because those come in as disruptors in the market. So how do you compete with somebody like that when traditionally you would be charging, like you would be getting like your 7%, sometimes even 10% commission, versus somebody who says 1%? How do we work around? I don't know the name of those type, but I guess they are the Ubers of real estate.
Yeah, there is lead, for instance, lead home and 3% commission properties. I've just Googled that now to say, these are some of the things that almost throws out almost every single theory that one could ever have, to say, how could a competitive property practitioner, as we call it, or as we are supposed to call it of late, what would set your institution apart? You have figured out you are right in Sandton, in the richest square kilometer radius in Africa. You have the right philosophy, you have the right processes, and all of those 7 P's that they're talking about. What would really set one up? And I don't know if it's a question that one could really answer in one singular conversation, but I'm saying, in all our thinking, let us also think about some of those issues. But also being mindful that whatever competitive advantage that a company could afford themselves, it's temporary. So even if they might be able to be in advance, someone is thinking about how to beat them. What would be your thought as a property a practitioner?
Okay. Any takers? Thank you, Dendi, for that. Richard, what do you think? Rich, Sulet, that beautiful surname, Rich. What do you think?
Moses, we have a hand, Tulani.
Tulani, yes, Tulani.
Hi. Sure, it's shocking actually to learn about what Dandy spoke about now. I guess it's part of the knowing your competitors and the market research. Just to go back to an example of the cell phones, I guess you'll have to give value and credibility and sort of safety where people know there's so many scams online as well. I don't know the true answer, but it will really lie for me that you have to be, you have to have such a market presence, and people know and prefer that they know that you sell the property quick, you are popular, and they will stick with you as a property practitioner, probably more as a company, as a principal agent.
Thank you, Thulani. I've just put this here on the screen. It's actually important because look at what they're emphasizing. Sell with us for transparency and certainty. So what are they saying? It means they are saying on the traditional way, there are some of the things that are not transparent and things like that. So they're emphasizing on a particular, I don't know whether a particular concern that probably many people were having, that these things are not transparent, there's no certainty on whether my property will be sold. So if you think about it from that, they say time has changed, so has our offering. Never pay more than you need when selling your home. Lead Homes offers you peace of mind with by the way, disclaimer, these are not sponsoring. We are just using this as an example. As an example. So they use tech-enabled and user-friendly services. So tech, it's another one. I just want to quickly go back to those, our P's, our 7 P's. Are we there? So we have got product, we've got place, we've got price, we've got promotion, process, physical environment, and people. Which one do you think they've emphasized on when it comes to these 7 P's? Maybe that's a question, I'm putting it out there. Out of these 7 people, which one do you think lead home, for instance, they've emphasized on? Is it the process? Is it people? Is it the physical environment? Is it place? Is it product? Is it promotion?
It's the price.
The price. What else?
Others are just sweeteners. It is the price. They're saying they're so subliminal that they almost become irrelevant. People are only going to focus on, or maybe I'm now talking from a foreknowledge, not so much from what you showed up there. But those guys, they're selling. I think their commission is like 1.5%, and that's what they put. So maybe I'm not answering the question from the case study. I'm answering from foreknowledge.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Dendi. Of course, it's the price, but they've put it in such a way that it's easier to be able to literally be able to look at what will it cost you to be able to. They've put even a calculator there quickly. Well, of course, you would have it maybe hidden in some places, but the process of it, they're making it much easier. That it's not as maybe laborious as other processes like a physical normal estate agent would normally have. Yeah, but thank you. I think it's a good mix to our study for now. Today, maybe without even, I think it has disrupted the process, but in a good way. Without necessarily maybe going too deep into this, I think I'm looking at time, but let me see if we can still be able to touch some of these things. Yeah, maybe let's just quickly go through these different things, and it will explain some of these things. Your product, your name, and your packaging. The product name and packaging will probably have more impact on your brand positioning than any other marketing mix tools. If these 3 elements do not align with your brand positioning, there is little hope to achieve a desired position in the market. The product perception is closely linked to the product positioning. and the perception is linked to the packaging that holds the product and carries the product name. Functionality, feature, and benefits. In order to benefit to begin to understand the product from a customer's point of view, list the functionality, the features, and the benefits that the product has. Functionality, I mean, we've seen some of the things that they have, the example that we just used. Functionality, why is the product useful? What does it fulfill? Features, what differentiates the product from others, i.e. what makes it special? Benefits, what are the benefits of owning a particular product? Full service, i.e. your warranty, resale potential, and prestige, for instance, such examples. And one of the benefits in real estate would be, if we were to use this example, would be, is it easier to sell? I mean, to young people, when they want to go get a job somewhere else, what happens to that property? Can they rent it out? Can they easily be able to sell it? Things like that. Your distribution is the transmission of goods and services from producer or seller to the user. There are 5 main areas that affects your distribution plan. Penetration, market and coverage, or shelf space, outlets and channel type, competition, your geography as in physically where, the timing. Timing would be when and where and how quickly a product is launched into a region or a store or an outlet. What would we say, maybe as a question, what would you say distribution is when it comes to real estate business? What would be the example of distribution? We know the product, we're very clear. What would be what are the different distribution methods that we have for our products? Any taker? Gentlemen and ladies. So where do we find these properties? That's probably the easiest way to be able to look at it. When you go online, like now, for instance, we Property 24, it's actually a business on its own that has come, and solely just to be able to, it's not so much as it's marketing, but as much as one could say it's advertising, they are not necessarily advertising, but it's a distribution platform. It's where you can be able to find the properties that are available in a particular area. So before, you would have to be able to physically go, or you would need the other distribution platforms where they will be showing different houses that they are selling. They distribute them, put them at the stores for free. So you use that, you are able to find the property. But nowadays, all these things are more easier ways to be able to find the property. It's a business literally on its own to be able to find the different properties that are available in a particular area. Your promotion. Promotion are where incentives are offered to clients to purchase from a particular real estate company. Some well-known promotions that are offered on a continuous basis by some large agencies are customer concierge service and accumulation of loyalty points, for instance, such things. Type of promotion events or tools, media announcements or new product entities, carnivals or parades, book releases or lectures, information, seminars, product couponing, proof of purchase incentives, flyers, pamphlets or newspaper magazine inserts, billboards, TV advertisements, store signages, magazines and newspapers, store samples, like that. The last one, personnel. Before we go close, personal selling. Personal selling is a face-to-face marketing of properties as well as agencies by talking directly to the clients. Virtually all estate agencies start off by selling themselves to relatively small number of clients, and this can be done successfully by means of personal selling, where the client can be approached in a unique and a personal fashion. Sales strategies may range from the following: door-to-door sales. Now, what happens to that in the midst of now that we are in COVID? Telesales or e-commerce, sales rep calling on organizational buyers, sales staff in frontline positions like in stores, merchandise displays, promotional sales events, free samples, testing in store, store outlets or staff training, examples, clinic training in Edgar staff, store samples and stamps and things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can close for today. Any question? And we can go to the rest when we continue, and Brina will guide tomorrow. It's another one, but we can be able to continue. For today, can we leave it here? Any question, any input before we close? I see there's a hand, Maxwell.
So is this presentation on the LMS?
Rina, have we already put it on LMS yet? I'll just verify and they'll let me know now. Bomunasi and Rina, please just verify if we already have it available. If not, we'll make sure it's available next one.
Okay. And then earlier on, you alluded about the buying the database. Like I'm based in Boksburg. Like if I have to do that, then how do I go about it? Is there a website where you go and check and or what?
Let me find out more information. I'll send the details, I think, on the group when the different groups that are there of where you can be able to buy. Yeah, of course, some are trade secrets, but no worries, we'll share.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, if there is no other question, I'll ask Rina, Mumisa, anything. Oh, Roland, I see there's a hand by Roland.
How's it, Moses?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm just looking at the content that you're giving us. You know, I'm thinking it's not only relevant to real estate. It's actually helpful in terms of other businesses that you can think of. So it's good information that you're sharing with us here. And again, I'm liking the saying that you're saying, you know, it's something that sometimes you're not aware of, but it's more formalized. So some of these things are ringing bells, you know. But all in all, thanks for the content. It's something which is not only helpful for real estate, you know. Other businesses can benefit from the information that we are seeing, the strategies, the tools, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I see another hand, and actually that's important. Some of these things we've learned the hard way. I remember at the dawn before I came to Delhi, when we started, we did all pamphlets and all those kind of things, but towards the end, before we changed from normal affordable to student accommodation, we were now able to get somebody to do the marketing and all that, and we pay them. They are out. We continue to manage our rental stock, which was taking a lot of burden from us who didn't know anything then. They were good at getting customers, and we were just continuing to manage, and it was working, and we were willing to pay them upfront when they bring the client. So those are the different ways of promoting your business. Dendi?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ramabrana. And once again, greetings to everyone. Mine, more than anything, is just an announcement. Next week, Tuesday, we will be hosting NetBank. They will be coming to talk to us. The next chapter of the conversation or the materials are regarding bonds and all of that. So we have invited NetBank to just come and talk to us regarding the idea of bond originations and all of that. But in the sense that what would happen if when you have someone or a property that you want to sell, you are able to give it directly to someone at the bank and you still get paid for it. There are also bond originators. I am hoping that maybe we will be able to get bond originators as well, independently so. But there are opportunities that you can also deal directly with the bank. The bond originators, the beauty about them is they are able to apply for your client to a whole lot of different places. So we are looking forward to having that. Maybe let's start having those communications sent out from during the week. We will be disseminating some of those informations. But apart from that, maybe just on this subject of marketing and product awareness and all of that, there's a saying by one of my favorite entrepreneur, Peter Drucker. He says, in entrepreneurship, and I believe all of you here are either entrepreneurs or are aspiring entrepreneurs, but even if you are an executive, in entrepreneurship, there are only two ends. It's either you are selling or you are innovating. So those are the only two things that matters in business. Every single thing else less than that, it's a cost. I find that as a very interesting philosophical expression to just say, if you are not selling or you're not innovating, you're actually incurring a cost. You may not know that you are incurring a cost, but you are incurring a cost. And you only see it when we all know about, I think Tulani had mentioned the issues of what happened to Nokia. There are a lot of companies that have literally gone down that were really, really big. Your Kodak, for instance, when other companies were busy innovating, they were excited about having more than 2 million employees across the world and all of that. That is my input for the day. I thank you.
Thank you, Bomatamera. Thank you, everyone. Madekwana Wudi, Iweborok. Thank you. Kuyanan.